My daughter-in-law stood in my kitchen with her hand stretched out and said, "Give me the house keys, Margaret. This place belongs to the Younger family now." For a moment, I thought I had heard her wrong. The kettle was still whistling on the stove. Rain tapped softly against the kitchen window. My old orange cat, Winston, sat near the back door, watching us with the tired judgment of someone who had seen too much foolishness in one lifetime. And my son, Nathan, stood beside his wife without saying a word. That silence hurt more than her demand. "My name is Margaret Ellis. I am 68 years old. I have lived in that house for 39 years. I planted the roses along the front fence with my late husband, Samuel, when our son was still small enough to sit in a laundry basket while we worked. I painted the nursery yellow before Nathan was born. I buried 2 dogs under the oak tree. I hosted Christmas dinners, birthday parties, church meetings, baby showers, and the wake after Samuel died. That house was not just walls. It was marriage, motherhood, grief, work, memory. And now my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, stood in my kitchen wearing cream trousers, red lipstick, and a smile that had never once reached her eyes, telling me the house belonged to the Younger family. I looked at Nathan. He was 38 now, tall like his father. Same brown eyes, same nervous habit of rubbing his thumb against his wedding ring when he did not want to speak. "Nathan," I said quietly, "what is this?" He looked down. Vanessa answered for him. "This is common sense. We have 2 children. We need space. You're one person rattling around in a 4-bedroom house. It doesn't make sense." I stared at her. "You live 15 minutes away. In a rented townhouse," she said, as if the word rented tasted bitter. "Do you know how embarrassing that is when your mother-in-law owns this place outright? Owns?" At least she admitted that part. "Yes," I said, "I own it." Her face tightened. "For now." The kettle screamed louder. I turned it off slowly because I needed my hands to do something besides shake. Nathan still said nothing. My sweet boy. My only child. The child I had raised after his father's illness, took years of savings and then took him too. The child I had worked double shifts for. The child whose university tuition I paid by cleaning offices at night after teaching school all day. The child who used to call me every Sunday after moving out because he said, "Mom, the week doesn't start right if I don't hear your voice." That boy was somewhere inside the man standing before me, but I could not see him clearly anymore. Vanessa stepped closer. "We're not asking you to be homeless. You can move into the smaller room upstairs for now. Or the garden room. Honestly, the garden room might be better. The stairs are hard at your age." "At your age?" She had a gift for hiding poison inside practical sentences. I folded my arms. "You want me to move into one room in my own house?" She sighed. "That's dramatic. We want to make the house useful. And where will my things go?" "We'll sort through them. Some can be donated. Some can go into storage." My chest tightened. My things. Samuel's books. My mother's china. Nathan's childhood drawings. The quilt my grandmother made. The wedding photo on the mantel. A lifetime reduced to, some can be donated. I looked at Nathan again. "Is this what you want?" He finally spoke. His voice was low. "Mom, we're struggling." I softened for half a second. A mother's heart is dangerous that way. One honest word from your child, and every boundary feels like a locked door you should apologize for. "I know money is tight," I said. "I've helped when I can." Vanessa laughed. "Helped? Margaret, you gave us £300 last month. That barely covered groceries." It was what I had. "You have a whole house." I stared at her. "There it is." Nathan closed his eyes. Vanessa did not stop. "You could sign the house over to Nathan. You should have done it years ago. It would protect the family." "From whom?" "From mistakes." "What mistakes?" She looked me directly in the eye. "Old people get lonely. They fall for scams. They make bad decisions. They leave property to churches, cats, strangers, charities. We are trying to prevent confusion later." Winston meowed from the back door. I almost laughed. Even the cat was offended. I walked to the kitchen table and sat down. Not because I was weak, because if I remained standing, I might say something I could not unsay. "Vanessa," I said, "this house is not available." Her smile disappeared. Nathan looked at me quickly. "Mom." "No," I said. "Listen carefully. I will not sign over my house. I will not hand you my keys. I will not move into the garden room so you can play Lady of the Manor in rooms my husband and I built with decades of work." Vanessa's face flushed. "Lady of the Manor? You're being cruel." "No, I am being clear." She turned to Nathan. "Say something." He looked trapped, but not trapped enough to defend me. "Mom," he said, "maybe we can talk about a compromise." "A compromise," I repeated. He nodded, relief already entering his face because he thought I had softened. "Maybe we move in for a while, just until we save for our own place." "How long?" He looked at Vanessa. She looked away. That silence answered for them. The plan was not temporary. Temporary was just the soft cloth wrapped around theft. I stood. "No." Vanessa's eyes hardened. "Then you are choosing bricks over your grandchildren." Ah, there it was. The grandchildren. Little Sophie and Daniel. The two bright lights of my old age. The children I picked up from school twice a week. The children I taught to bake scones. The children who called Winston Grandpa Cat. I loved them fiercely. Vanessa knew that. So she used them. I looked at her. "No, Vanessa. I am choosing not to teach my grandchildren that love means taking what someone else worked for." She took one sharp step toward me. "You selfish old woman." Nathan flinched, but still said nothing. The words landed somewhere deep, but not where she intended. Old. Selfish. Woman. 3 words people use when a woman has outlived her usefulness to their plans. I picked up the house keys from the counter and closed my fingers around them. Vanessa reached for them. I pulled back. "Do not." Her voice rose. "Give me the keys." "No." She grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to injure me badly, but hard enough to shock me, hard enough for the room to change. Nathan finally moved. "Vanessa, stop." She let go, but anger had already taken her face. "Fine," she snapped. "Keep your keys. Keep your lonely house. Don't call us when you fall on the stairs." Then she turned toward the hallway. At the door, she stopped and looked back. "And don't expect to see the children until you learn how family works." That was the kick. Not a foot. Not a blow. A sentence aimed straight at my heart. She kicked me out of my grandchildren's lives as punishment for not giving her my house. Nathan looked at me then. Really looked. He saw my face. He saw the keys in my hand. He saw his wife walking out of my home after threatening to take the only joy I had left. For a moment, I thought he would choose courage. Instead, he whispered, "I'll call you later, Mom." Then he followed her out. The front door closed. The house became silent. I stood in the kitchen with the keys pressed into my palm, the kettle cooling on the stove, and Winston rubbing against my ankle, like the only creature in the room who understood loyalty. Then I sat down and cried. Not soft tears, not pretty tears, the kind that come from the oldest part of the body, the part that remembers rocking a baby at 3 a.m., packing school lunches, waiting up for teenagers, paying fees, forgiving rude tones, making excuses, telling yourself, he is busy, he is stressed, he still loves me. I cried because my son had not protected me. I cried because my daughter-in-law had seen my love for my grandchildren and sharpened it into a knife. And I cried because somewhere beneath the grief, something stronger had finally woken up. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight, and if you have ever been made to feel guilty for protecting the home you built with your own life, stay with this story. Because sometimes the day they demand your keys is the day you finally learn which doors should stay locked. I met my husband Samuel when I was 22. He was not rich. He was not flashy. He was a carpenter with kind hands, quiet eyes, and the patience to measure twice even when everyone else was rushing. We married in a small church with lilies from my aunt's garden and a cake my mother made in 2 layers because 3 cost too much. Our first flat was so small the bed nearly touched the cooker, but Samuel said, "Small rooms are good. They teach people not to waste love." I laughed at that for years. Then we bought the house. A tired 4-bedroom on Willow Lane with peeling paint, a leaking roof, and a garden so overgrown the estate agent called it full of potential, which is what people say when something needs expensive help. Samuel saw it and smiled. "She has good bones," he said. I said, "She has bad plumbing." He kissed my forehead. "We'll fix both." We did. Slowly. Painfully. Paycheck by paycheck. He repaired the floorboards. I painted walls after work. We saved for windows. Then saved for the kitchen. Then saved for the roof. When Nathan was born, Samuel built the crib himself. When Nathan turned 6, Samuel made him a little wooden desk. When Nathan went to university, Samuel cried in the driveway after pretending something was in his eye. Then illness came. Cancer. The word arrived and rearranged every room. For 3 years, our world became hospitals, medication charts, hope, fear, and the kind of quiet couples share when they both know tomorrow is not promised, but nobody wants to say it. Samuel died in our bedroom on a rainy morning. His hand was in mine. His last words were, "Keep the house, Maggie." Not, "Sell it." Not, "Give it away." Not, "Let anyone make you small in it." Keep the house. So I did. I worked. Saved. Paid off the final mortgage balance 5 years after he passed. The day the bank sent the confirmation letter, I placed it beside Samuel's photo and whispered, "We did it." That house was my proof. Not proof of wealth. Proof of endurance. Nathan married Vanessa 7 years after Samuel died. At first, I tried hard to love her. She was beautiful, organized, and confident in a way that made every room feel slightly judged. She worked in marketing, wore expensive perfume, and called herself direct, though often direct simply meant rude with good posture. She did not like my house. Not exactly. She liked what it could become for her. The first time she visited, she walked from room to room saying things like, "This could be stunning with proper updates," and, "You don't really use all this space, do you?" Nathan laughed awkwardly. I made tea. That became my role. Make tea while being inspected. When Sophie was born, I became useful. Babysitting, school pickups, emergency childcare, soup when Vanessa was tired, laundry when the washing machine broke, money when Nathan changed jobs. I gave because I loved my son. I gave because I adored the children. I gave because loneliness makes invitations feel precious, even when they come with hidden costs. But over time, the requests grew. Could they store boxes in my garage? Could they host Daniel's birthday in my garden? Could Vanessa use my dining room for a product photography shoot? Could they stay for a week when their bathroom was repaired? Could I contribute to private school fees because education is family investment? Whenever I said yes, Vanessa smiled. Whenever I hesitated, she went cold. Nathan always stood in the middle, which means he usually stood with her while looking sad about it. After the key demand, everything changed. For 3 days, I heard nothing. No calls, no texts, no pictures of the children. On the 4th day, Sophie called from her little tablet. "Grandma," she whispered, "Mummy says we are not visiting because you made her cry." My heart broke cleanly. "Oh, darling. Did you?" "No, sweetheart. Grown-ups had a disagreement." "About keys?" I closed my eyes. "Yes, about keys. I told Mummy you have keys because it is your house." Out of the mouths of children. "Yes," I whispered. "That is right." Then I heard Vanessa's voice in the background. "Sophie, give me that." The call ended. I sat for a long time with the phone in my hand. Then I did something I had never done before. I called a solicitor. Her name was Helen Ward. She was in her 60s, sharp as a sewing needle, and had the calm expression of a woman who had heard every family lie at least twice. I told her everything. The demand. The wrist grab. The threat about the children. The years of help. Samuel's last words. Helen listened. Then she said, "Margaret, do they have keys? Nathan has a spare." "Change the locks." My stomach dropped. "That feels harsh." "No," she said. "Harsh was demanding ownership of your home. This is sensible." So I changed the locks. I updated my will. I placed the house into a protected trust that allowed me to live there for life and prevented anyone from pressuring me into signing it away. I also gave Helen instructions that if anything happened to me, the house would not go directly to Nathan or Vanessa. Instead, after my passing, it would be held for Sophie and Daniel when they became adults, with strict protections so no parent could sell it. Helen called it sensible estate planning. I called it keeping Samuel's promise. Vanessa discovered the locks changed a week later. She came to the house while I was pruning roses. Nathan was with her. So were the children in the car. My heart jumped when I saw them. Vanessa tried the door first. The key did not work. She turned sharply. "You changed the locks?" I stood near the rosebush, holding garden shears. "Yes." Her face twisted. "Nathan, are you hearing this?" Nathan looked tired. "Mom, why would you do that?" "Because your wife demanded my keys, grabbed my wrist, and threatened to keep my grandchildren from me." Sophie's face appeared in the car window. I wanted to run to her. I did not. Vanessa stepped closer. "I never grabbed you." I looked at Nathan. He looked down. "There," I said quietly. "Your husband remembers." Vanessa's eyes flashed. "This is ridiculous. We came to talk." "No, you came to test whether your key still worked." Nathan winced. That truth landed. Vanessa folded her arms. "So what now? You punish your own son?" "No, I protect myself from your ambition." She laughed coldly. "You think very highly of yourself." "I think very highly of my late husband's work." Nathan finally spoke. "Mom, please, can we come in?" I looked at him. My boy. My silent boy. "No." He blinked. "No? Not today." Vanessa scoffed. "See? She wants control." I ignored her and looked at Nathan. "I will meet you and the children at the park on Saturday if you wish. Or you can come alone to talk properly. But Vanessa is not entering my house until she apologizes and agrees in writing that she will never again demand keys, property rights, or access to my home." Vanessa laughed. "In writing? Who do you think you are?" I smiled sadly. "The owner." Her mouth closed. For the first time, she had no neat answer. The children came to the park that Saturday. Nathan brought them. Vanessa did not. Sophie ran into my arms so hard I nearly fell. Daniel, only 4, hugged my leg and said, "Mummy said Grandma is stubborn." I kissed his hair. "Grandma is learning." Nathan watched us from a bench. He looked ashamed. Good. Shame can be useful if it grows into courage. When the children went to feed ducks, Nathan sat beside me. "Mom," he said, "I'm sorry." I looked straight ahead. "For what specifically?" He swallowed. "For not stopping Vanessa. For letting her speak to you that way. For letting her think the house was something we could ask for." "You did ask." He closed his eyes. "Yes, I did." My heart hurt, but I did not rescue him from the discomfort. "I thought because you were alone," he said, "and because we needed help." He stopped. "Finish it." He took a breath. "I thought your life could bend around mine." That sentence was the truest thing he had said in years. I nodded. "It cannot anymore." "I know. Do you?" He looked at Sophie and Daniel by the pond. "I'm starting to." Nathan told me then that Vanessa had been pushing the house idea for months. She said it was stupid to rent while I owned a big home. She said other families passed property down early. She said I was selfish for living alone. She said if they got in now, eventually I would adjust. Eventually I would adjust. That was another way of saying, eventually I would surrender. "What did you say when she first suggested it?" I asked. He looked ashamed again. "I said you'd never agree." Not that it was wrong. Silence. There it was. My son had not defended the principle, only predicted my refusal. That hurt, but truth often does. Over the next few months, things remained tense. Vanessa refused to apologize. She sent long messages through Nathan, then relatives, then a church friend. Apparently, I had become possessive, lonely, difficult, and unwilling to support young families. I did not respond publicly. Instead, I followed Helen's advice. Everything in writing. No unplanned visits, no spare keys, no discussions about property without my solicitor present. Nathan continued bringing the children to the park and sometimes to the library, not the house. At first, he was offended. Then he began to understand. One afternoon, Sophie asked, "Grandma, why can't we come bake scones at your house anymore?" I looked at Nathan. He looked away, then looked back. This time, he answered, "Because Daddy and Mummy made Grandma feel unsafe in her own home." Sophie frowned. "That's bad." "Yes," he said. "It is." I nearly cried. Not because everything was fixed, because my son had finally told the truth where a child could hear it simply. Vanessa changed only after losing control began costing her. Nathan refused to pressure me further. The children kept asking for Grandma. Their landlord increased rent, and instead of my house opening like she expected, it stayed locked. She had to face numbers, budgets, options, reality. 3 months later, she requested a meeting. At Helen's office. That was my condition. Vanessa arrived wearing a pale blue dress and a face full of resentment pretending to be maturity. Nathan sat beside her. Helen sat beside me. Vanessa began with, "I'm sorry if you felt..." Helen raised one finger. "No." Vanessa blinked. Helen said, "That is not an apology. Try again." I almost smiled. Vanessa took a breath. "I'm sorry I demanded the keys." Helen waited. Vanessa continued, jaw tight. "I'm sorry I tried to make you feel guilty about living in your own house. I'm sorry I said you couldn't see the children." I looked at her. "And?" Her eyes flashed. Nathan whispered, "Vanessa." She looked down. "I'm sorry I grabbed your wrist." The room became very still. Helen made a note. I nodded once. "I hear you." Vanessa looked relieved too quickly. I continued, "That does not mean you get access to my house." Her relief disappeared. "What?" "It means I heard your apology. But we're family." "Yes, and family can meet at the park, restaurants, your home, or planned visits under respectful conditions. Family does not get keys as a reward for apologizing." She looked at Nathan. He did not save her. That was progress. A year later, things were different. Not perfect. Different. Nathan and Vanessa moved to a smaller town where they could afford a modest house. Not mine. Theirs. They had to save, budget, compromise, and let go of the image Vanessa had been chasing. The children visited me again at Willow Lane, but with rules. Planned visits. No overnight stays unless agreed. No property talk. No spare keys. No, just popping by. At first, Vanessa called the rules cold. Then, slowly, she stopped testing them. One Sunday, while Sophie and Daniel helped me make scones, Vanessa stood in the doorway watching. She looked around the kitchen, the old tiles, Samuel's repaired cabinets, the window herbs, Winston asleep on a chair. "It really is your home," she said quietly. I turned. "Yes." "I think I saw it as space." "I know." She swallowed. "I wanted what you had without understanding what it cost." That was the closest she ever came to true wisdom. I dusted flour from my hands. Most people do. Years have passed since the day she demanded my keys. I am 70 now, still in my house, still planting roses, still baking scones with Sophie and Daniel. Nathan visits every Sunday, and now he knocks even though the doorbell works. I like the knock. It tells me he remembers. Vanessa is not my best friend. This is not a fairy tale. But she is respectful now. And respect is the ground where any future kindness must stand. Sometimes she brings groceries. Sometimes she helps in the garden. Sometimes she still looks at the house with a hunger I recognize. But she does not ask for keys. Zoriwing, and I do not offer. The protected trust remains. Sophie and Daniel will benefit one day when they are old enough to understand that inheritance is not a prize for the loudest adult in the room. Nathan knows this. Vanessa knows this. Most importantly, I know this. People say older women should be generous. I agree. But generosity without boundaries becomes an invitation for others to empty your life and praise themselves for accepting it. My daughter-in-law demanded my house keys. Then she kicked me out of my grandchildren's lives to punish me. But she did not win, because I learned that love is not proven by surrendering the roof over your head. A good mother can say no. A loving grandmother can change the locks. A widow can protect the house her husband built without becoming hard, bitter, or selfish. And a family that only behaves when you hand over keys is not asking for love. It is asking for control. If you are listening and someone is pressuring you to give away what took you a lifetime to build, hear me clearly. Do not sign because they cried. Do not hand over keys because they have children. Do not move into one small room inside your own life so others can feel bigger. Get advice. Keep records. Protect your home. Love your family, yes, but love yourself with a door that locks. Because sometimes the people who accuse you of being selfish are only angry that you finally stopped being easy to use. Samuel told me to keep the house. So I did. And every morning, when I open my kitchen curtains and see the roses climbing the fence, I whisper the same words back to him. We still have it, love.